3 different kind of cooking systems that I've been using as a solo traveler during the last period. In this video I'm going to go through all these 3 and tell you what's good with them, what's bad with them, and in the end of the video I'll probably tell you also which one is my favorite today. My name is Matti. I'm working as a nature guide and dog musher up in northern Sweden. Together with my partner Stina, I run a small business with dog sledding, canoeing, canoe rental, and we also make this kind of content for YouTube. We live in Jokkmokk, just north of Arctic Circle, and outdoor life is actually what we're doing for a living. So I'm sitting here in the sun. I have a shadow from the tree that's moving around, you see, but in this video I'm not going to try to show you some beautiful video clip. I'm going to talk about some interesting stuff about the stoves that I've been using during the last time. All these 3 cooking systems is things that I've been using by myself and that Stina have been using during the last period. We've used them as solo cooking system, but also when we have been out 2-person or 3-person. When I'm going to look at these cooking systems today, I'm going to look at them as a solo hiker. The first one is Primus Lite. This is a complete stove that comes like this directly from the stove, with a burner, with a pot, with everything. The second one we're going to look at is a 750 milliliter titanium pot from Toaks, and that I add a super mini small BRS stove. These ones you have to buy separate and put it together by yourself. The third one we're going to look at is another titanium pot. It's Toaks 1300 milliliter pot. And in this one I have a Soto Windmaster. All these 3 stoves run on different kind of gas canisters. The first one we're going to look at is Primus Lite. This is 351 gram. It comes complete with a stove, with a pot, with the lid, and with this kind of cover. You can take away this cover isolation, but then you had to add another way to grip it, a grip or something like that. When you buy this, you pay like 80 to 120 euro or dollar for this complete stuff. This pot and the burner have a kind of inbuilt wind shelter, as you see down here, when you add it like this. It also have a kind of heat exchanging system in the bottom, so you really use the gas in an efficient way, so it really heat up the pot really good and quite fast. This stove is good for heating up water if you want tea, coffee and something like that. It's also good for simple food, if you make pasta, very simple stuff, or if you just add hot water into the bags. This is not good for slow cooking, it's not good for more complicated cooking, because when you have this heat exchange system and the burner, when you run it, it gets super hot in the bottom, so you will burn the food if you make some more solid food, not soupish food. The volume of this pot is 700 milliliter. And if you look at the burner, there is ignition here, so you can start it, but that breaks down quite early actually. This one don't fit the big canisters, as you see, but it fits the small canister. If you add the stove on the small one, it don't fit inside here. So if this pot just had been a few millimeters higher, you could have carried everything like this inside the pot. Now you had to put it down somehow like this, and it fit in here. 100 gram gas and the stove fit in the pot. The good thing with this stove, it's easy to handle, you save gas because of this heating exchange system, and you buy it complete. You don't have to think about what you want, you just get the whole thing from the shop like this. The bad thing, I think it's quite heavy if you look at the other options, and I don't like when things break down like the ignition thing. Then it's better they deliver it without. So now it is a little bit difficult to start it if you want to start it with the pot on top, if it's windy for example. So this is not perfect. I actually use this less and less nowadays because I have better options than this. And I think it's a little bit too heavy, and I'm a little bit disappointed because the burner, it's not the really best one actually. But it's an easy way to get this complete stove. Now we're going to look at the second cooking system. Then we have a Toaks 750 milliliter titanium pot. This is 90 gram, 95 gram, something like that. With that, I have a 24-gram heavy titanium small gas stove. So this together is actually less than 130 grams. The price for the stove is 20 euro or $20. The price for the pot is 60 euro or $60. So together this is something like $80. But you can find them cheaper, but I put a link in the description down here to the Toaks one. I choose to have one with this handle that's hanging. I don't really remember the name of it, but you can take it away and make it a little bit lighter. This one gets hot when you have it on the burner, but I really like to have it like this, and as you see, I've been using it on the fire also. But this is the ultralight super good cooking system. This pot actually fit one of the 100-gram canisters, and you still have place for a small foldable teacup, tea, coffee and the stove. So it's good size, it's easy to pack. I really like the compact thing and that you can fit a lot of things into that. So this stove have a flame just in the middle. So it will be super hot in the middle of the pot. It's not spreading out so much. That makes it easy to burn if you're cooking food. For heating up water and making some more simple food, or you're cooking up something and put it away and then cooking up again, then it works okay. But for slow cooking, things like that, then it's not a really good option. This stove uses more gas if it's windy. You really had to protect it from wind. So that's the backside of this lightweight gear. So this is ultra light when you want to travel light, when you don't want to carry a lot. Then this is the best one. And I also bring this as a second stove sometimes. Now we come to the last one, and actually the newest system for us. Here we have a Toaks 1300 milliliter pot. This Toaks pot comes in many different kind of shapes, height, volume, everything. You find exactly what you want if you look into Toaks sortiment, what they have. I like to have this thing hanging because then I can lift it with a stick when it's hot. Because this will get hot sometimes, this one. I also like this because I can put them straight into the fire when I want to save gas. This is 1300 milliliter and you pay like 70 euro for this pot. Then we have the Soto Windmaster stove. It's probably one of the best on the market today. It's quality through the whole thing. This ignition thing have been working fine for me, and it also have a kind of regulation thing here. So even when you have less gas in the tube, it keeps the same speed on the stove from beginning of the tube until end of the tube. You don't really know, as with other cheaper stoves, you feel that the pressure gets lower and lower, and in the end you had to shake and do things with the gas tube. This runs hard all the way and then it totally dies very fast. And I think that's very good. Together, this two is 228 grams. It's still quite light, I think, if you compare. So this is something in the middle if you look at the weight. If you look at the price, this is the most pricey one. This together will be something like 150 euro, $150. I put a link in the description to this also, of course. The stove is like 87 grams, and if you compare that to the other one that was 24 grams, you know that it is more heavy and a little bit more pricey. But it's very stable when you use bigger pots like this. It's really good. So if you want this lighter, you can actually take this away and get one with only 3 legs. But I prefer to have it with 4. You don't save so many grams, but you can save a few grams. But for me, this is totally fine. With this stove, you can adjust the flame really good, and you can adjust it and make really good slow cooking. The flame is spreading out on a bigger place, so you get more heat on the biggest part of the surface of the pot. And that's important if you want to do slow cooking, if you're cooking something that is not so much liquid. If you're cooking soup or just water, it's no matter. This is super fast. It also have an inbuilt windshield here somehow, I don't know. And the pot come really close to the flame, so it is super fast actually. And if you compare these two pots, if you have a pot with a bigger surface instead of a pot with a smaller surface, of course you also cook faster. One 200-gram canister fit into this, but sadly you don't fit the stove then. You can fit 100-gram canister and you can fit the stove, that's no problem. But if you put the stove in here, you can add some food or you can add some tea or the lunch or something like that. So it is also a good packing system, but not as compact as this one, the small one. So you probably already figure out that the one that I like less much is actually this one, Primus Lite. You can find a review of this, a more detailed review of this cooking system in our YouTube channel if you look. I put a link up here to it. This is heavy. This is actually quite expensive. It's easy to get it, so that's the only advantage of it. And yeah, I use it because I have it. I wouldn't buy this again. And then we look at number 2. Number 2 will be Toaks 750 milliliter pot with this BRS stove. This is less than 130 gram. What can you say? This is cheapest one. The stove is super cheap and you pack it, everything will come in a small package like this. It fits perfect into the backpack or into the camera bag or into the fishing bag when you go fishing or whatever. This is my favorite because it's so tiny. My absolute favorite right now is the Toaks 1300 milliliter and this Soto Windmaster. The stove is impressive and this pot keep a little bit more volume, so when you're cooking food you actually don't have to fill it totally up. And also when you're cooking you want the food to have a bigger surface to the stove, and this is a better stove for cooking food and this is a better pot for cooking food. So this is my favorite today. And then of course if you want you can combine it like this, or you can actually combine it like this, but this is maybe not the best idea, this combination. But you can combine it in different ways. You can have different kind of titanium pots, but anyway, today this is my favorite combination. If you have some ideas about this, leave comment down here. It's always interesting to see what other people think about this and what is your favorite cooking system. I haven't tried Jet Boil, but that is very similar to Primus Lite, so maybe I should try Jet Boil. But now when I have this works for 2 person also actually, so now when I have this I don't need another system, I don't need another stove. See you next video. Thanks for watching, thanks for thumbs up, thanks for everything. Ciao!